Stefan, your archaeology videos get hundreds of thousands of views with every release, but we know there's tons of YouTubers out there trying to make educational content just like yours that struggle to even get 1,000 views per video. So what is the process you follow that allows you to know that your videos are going to do well with every video you make?
It's a great question. It's a tough question. I would say the first thing is I've been doing this for years now, and there's an element to this that is consistency. You know, I didn't get 100,000 views the first video I released. The first probably, I don't know, 60 videos I released, I didn't get 100,000 views on them. So an element of this is consistency, improving your abilities, and building up a reputation for what your channel is about. So I mean, like when we're doing educational videos, you sort of have to build up a little bit of a reputation. People sort of have to trust you a little bit, and you have to build up that reputation that people know that they're going to get this interesting video. There's going to be some information they can't get anywhere else. So an element of this is if you're just starting out, don't worry so much about just getting 1,000 views. Focus on improving the videos. But that's probably your next question as well. How do you know when a video is a banger or not? Right?
It's coming. That's going to come later on. But I just want to dig into something you said there. You said that your viewers have an expectation of a certain level of quality and value in your videos then. So it sounds like, is it fair to say that personal branding, brand recognition, building that up over time is important?
It is. And that is an element that I'm not great at. If you just pulled up my channel there, as you can see, I don't appear in my thumbnails. And that is a flaw in my own branding, I would say. It doesn't hold the videos back, but I think to take my branding to the next level, I do need to start doing that somehow. Because I do appear on camera in the video, in most of my videos. So I need to set that expectation, and I want people to come on like an educational journey with me as I learn these things. Is the philosophy. So personal branding is important. I do definitely need to improve that. People just have to know. I think that there's going to be some effort into the video, that there's going to be some information that's difficult for them to get. There's going to be some access that's difficult for them to get. I'm not going to waste their time. I'm going to reveal something new to them. I'm going to reveal something cool and interesting to them. And it takes a little bit of time to build that up, to set that expectation, because educational content, ultimately people have to learn something from it. There has to be something to take away from it. So yeah, you do have to, it takes a while to, as I said, build that expectation, and to build that ability, like to create the ability to deliver on that also takes time.
So do you think that YouTubers can have a successful educational YouTube video without having built that reputation and previous relationship with viewers?
For sure. If you make a great video, it can take off no matter what size channel you are. But to get to the point where it's your day-to-day job, and this is your life, this is your career, people can't just tune in for one video. You need to hit hundreds of thousands of views every video, really, to generate that level of income, I would say. Depends on the niche, depends on what you're talking about, because different topics have different levels of ad revenue, obviously. In the world of archaeology, we have a low ad revenue. Okay, the people are not fighting to put an advert on an archaeology video in the same way they are for banks or credit cards or finance. So I'm sure my RPM is lower than a lot of other channels, but if you want to pull up my videos, I'll show you the one that really took off. If you scroll down, keep scrolling down.
Is this the one you did?
Stop. Yeah, 4 years ago, 294,000 views. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, cool.
There it is, yeah. Neanderthals first sailors, just exploring the idea of whether Neanderthals traveled across the water. And that video was the first one for sure where I got 100,000 views. As you can see, it was a collaboration with a big channel, with several big channels. And I was very fortunate in that this playlist was put in chronological order, and I talked about Neanderthals, so I was at the top of the list. But at that time, my videos were like barely getting 1,000 views. And then this one for sure got over 100,000, for sure tens of thousands of views quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can happen to any channel, but the video after, 100,000 people didn't tune in. Again, that took time to build up. You can see the next video has only just crossed 100,000 views, and that was 4 years ago. So
yeah, and then your video after that, 28. So it wasn't consistent back then, the views.
No.
Okay, so what lesson can we take from that?
Keep going. Keep going. It's very important to, if a video has done well, to try and think about why that is. I didn't, at that time, 4 years ago, I didn't know half the stuff I know now. So I wasn't really reflecting on why that video became successful. It was a part of that collaboration, but I do think it would have done well regardless, because it's an interesting idea. We're Neanderthals sailors. So if you have a video that's a real runaway success compared to your others, reflect on that. Reflect on why you think that was successful, and what can you take away from that.
You said now you're a lot better at being able to reflect and review on what's done well for you and understand why that's done well. Are there some specific things you look out for in a video when you're trying to understand why it performed well?
Now I focus so much on the writing, how it's this combination of writing and visuals. So I've 2 videos in the work at the minute that are going to come out just after this episode has come out. One is on one of the earliest archaeological sites in America, and it's part of this series of videos I'm developing about the first people to live in America. That's going to be great because I'm in the region where that archaeological site is, so I can get really great visuals. I can really tell the story on location, and so the quality of the videos is footage is hopefully going to be great, and I just need to write it in an interesting way. I already interviewed another archaeologist, so I got some expert opinions to splice in between me, walking along a river. So there's this magic combination of visuals and storytelling. And then the video after that is going to be on the oldest archaeological site in the entire world. And, first of all, the title's already written itself. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. And again, because, through consistency, through getting these views, getting this attention, I now have access to people I didn't have access to before. And the people who are excavating the oldest archaeological site in the world, they actually reached out to me and they said, hey, you want to make a video on this?
Wow.
And they shared their footage with me. They had like a professional drone operator go to Africa with them. And so they've got this absolutely crazy drone footage that is just going to be plastered through the video. And the title already writes itself. It's the oldest archaeological site in the world. So there is this combination, I think, of visuals and storytelling. And when you get it right, it's fantastic.
Right. We're getting some great tips on how to get more views every month with our educational YouTube content. But let's talk for a second about how we can make more money. If you're like me, then you know that our views can go up and down drastically each month, which makes the revenue we make on YouTube hugely unpredictable. And my goal, and I expect your goal, is to just get stable monthly income. Something that I'm working on at the moment that falls under my plan of just earning guaranteed stable monthly income is my membership area. YouTubers that make informational content like what we're talking about in today's podcast are paying to join my membership space, where they get closer help from me in growing their YouTube channels. And as a result, my monthly income is getting a boost. And I've built that complete membership space that would have just been showing on screen using Uscreen. What I feel makes Uscreen great for doing this is you can set up free trials and offer coupons to potential new members. You can send, I'm going to stop using fingers because I'm going to run out of fingers. You can send emails using Uscreen directly to your paying members. There's easy to use templates in there that you can use to make your membership area look nice. I've got to work on mine, to be honest. It's looking a bit basic at the moment. And also, I've not used this yet, but you can set up communities inside Uscreen so that all of your membership content and conversations are happening all in one place. And later on, if I wanted to, I could sort of bring that membership area into my own mobile and TV app. So that would work on things like iPhone, Android devices, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV, and even more. So let's do some quick maths here. My membership area is $25 a month. So if I get 10 people joining that, what's that? That's an extra $250 a month that I'll be making from this membership space. But I want you to think even bigger than that. Say you set up your membership space at $100 a month. Well, then say you get 10 people join that membership. What are you earning then? That's an additional $1,000 a month of stable extra money you're making on top of your YouTube revenue every month. So I just think it's a no-brainer that YouTubers like you and me should be setting up membership areas if we're making educational content on YouTube. So for you to do that, I obviously recommend that you use Uscreen. They are thankfully sponsors of today's podcast episode. My partner link to them is in the description below. So give that a click if you want to go and get set up with them yourselves.
There is this combination, I think, of visuals and storytelling, and when you get it right, it's fantastic. Now, your viewers might go back and watch some of my older videos and think I haven't hit that target. Just know that this is like a work in progress. Do you know what I mean?
What's the work in progress?
Achieving a high level of quality production is a work in progress. Like, this is in theory how I imagine it in my head it's going to be before I produce it. And there may be many obstacles to producing the video when I actually sit down and do it that impede the quality of it. I don't know, but we're always shooting for that high quality and yeah, I'm starting to lose what I'm talking about, but I think you get the idea. There's a magic combination of storytelling and visuals that can really set a video apart.
Yeah, I heard you mention storytelling and visuals a few times there, but I also heard you talk about titles and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that they're important as well?
Hugely. There's no, let's take the example of the oldest archaeological site in the world.
Yeah.
That's a banger of a title, in my opinion. I think people are curious, like, oh, what is the oldest archaeological site in the world? And what are people doing there? What are we studying? What can we learn from that? I could call that video Stone Tool Use at Lamecqui 3.
Yeah.
And that would be probably an even more accurate title. But does it have that instant draw? Definitely not. Someone probably has to already feel like they're interested in stone tools to click on it. Someone probably has to know what Lamecqui 3 is. Like, what the hell is that? Probably most people have never heard of it. So you can have an idea about what you want to talk about. When you have that idea, think about what is the best possible, most interesting way you could frame that idea. And you could probably make a video about absolutely anything as long as you take that into account. That's what I think anyway. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that have huge views, and you think, why are people watching this? I don't know. But people are very curious, and you can frame almost any idea in an interesting way.
Yeah. I love that comparison you gave between the two titles there. And one, like you said, framing and driving curiosity. You focus on that with getting views, but another thing I took from that was the size of the audience that you are potentially appealing to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Like if you, no, go ahead. Well,
The second title seemingly it would have appealed to a much narrower audience if you know what those technical terms mean compared to the original title of the oldest this. Is that fair?
absolutely. Absolutely. Like someone, there's so many things I watch on YouTube that I don't really have any knowledge of, that I don't really care to develop a big knowledge on. But I watch them just because they're interesting, just because it piqued my curiosity at the minute. And I think there are a lot of people that might see the title oldest archaeological site in the world and have their curiosity sparked. Like, oh, I don't actually know what that is. Let me click on this video and see what's going on with that. But like stone tool use at Lemekwi 3 is just going to go straight over their heads. You're just not going to watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really valuable. So people watching this video, the takeaway there is, well, I hope I'm right with this takeaway. How can you present your video so it has the widest appeal possible?
Exactly. So important. So important. Because if I had the goal of creating an archaeology channel that only appealed to people who are already interested in archaeology, maybe it would be successful, maybe not, I don't know. But the magic, the money, the gold is to get someone that isn't interested in archaeology to think, oh, this is interesting, let me watch this. That's the magic. That's where you'll get success. If you can do that, you'll find success, I think.
Okay, so we're talking about ideas now. Particularly we're talking about ideas of how you package and present your video to the public. Let's talk about how you come up with ideas for your videos in the first place. What does that look like?
It varies a lot, It varies a lot. I have huge Google Drives full of video ideas, and I'm slowly keeping these ideas in the back of my head, slowly adding to these folders, sources, images, videos, slowly building up a picture of what might be an interesting idea. And then at some point, something will happen and the trigger will get pulled, and maybe it's because I've gained access to a particularly good interview, someone who really knows about the subject, and then it's all systems go. That idea is the next video up. But I think regardless of what topic you're talking about, you've always got to keep this mind open, keep your ear to the ground, whatever the phrases are of this new information. Keep building up pictures of these videos. What could they be? What's the best way to present them? Like, I'm always thinking about videos. I actually have a sticky note on my computer when I'm in the process of editing telling me not to worry about future ideas. Like, you'll have a good idea in the future. Don't worry, just focus on editing. Because I'm always thinking of new ideas, always gathering new information. And then at some point something will happen and it's like, boom, okay, that's the next video. Like, I feel like I've got enough information to present this story in an interesting way. But I'm always thinking, and always thinking of titles, ideas, thinking of videos that are in the works at the minute, that are in this process of me gathering information. The oldest stories in the world. What are the oldest stories in the world that people are telling? I'm always keeping my eyes open for stuff like that, and I'm slowly assembling these sources. Who was the first person in recorded history? Like, who was literally the first name? And again, I'm keeping my eyes open for these sources. I'm keeping my eyes open for people to interview, thinking of great ideas. I'm just doing it all the time. And it helps that I love the subject that I talk about. I got an archaeology degree. I love archaeology. So even if I wasn't making these YouTube videos, I'm thinking about this stuff anyway. And I just love to do it. My favorite part of the job is daydreaming about video ideas. Making them is hard. Making them is boring and time consuming and hard. But thinking up new ideas, I could do it all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to see that you enjoy the ideas process. Like that's coming across from the screen, 100%. So you're juggling all these ideas all the time. How do you know when you found that one golden idea?
It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say. Partly, I mean, I'm so self-conscious talking about this and then seeing my videos in the background and thinking like, are these golden ideas? I don't know.
Well, I mean, 900,000, 800,000 views, I'd argue they definitely are.
Yeah. I need to change the thumbnail on the music one. If you go up, like the previous video, 500,000 views, then 95,000, then 800, then 944. That 90, yeah, that was a real flop. And I think it's because I hadn't thought about the thumbnail before I made the video. And that's just a stock image of wolves. I actually think it is a good video, but I think the thumbnail let that one down. It's in the process of being changed for sure.
Okay. I distracted you then. How do you know when you've hit the right idea?
There's just, to a certain extent, if you're always thinking of new ideas, to a certain extent, you have to tell your brain to shut up and just make a video. To a certain extent, you have to pick one. Okay, you can daydream all day, you can daydream all month. Just make a video. Like, have a video you're working on, and don't start another video until you finish that one. So to a certain extent, you just have to do that. But there's, I don't know, there's just there's just something about it. Like, I've got the information to the point where it's like I have to make the video. There's, for example, the videos that I've got in the works now, the oldest archaeological site in the world. I know I keep hammering that home, but that's such a great idea. What is the oldest archaeological site in the world? Who was the first person in recorded history? These I think are video ideas that would be evergreen. You could make them at any time. The title is interesting and short. And once you have gotten the information, you've gotten the interview, you've gotten the access, you've gotten the visuals, just sit down and make it. Just sit down and make it as best as you can. And when it's done, just go on the next one. There's no moment when specifically when it's ready. Just think of if all of the videos in your pipeline are great ideas, you think are great ideas, then it doesn't matter which one you're working on at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Just think of that idea that's going to apply to loads of people, that is interesting, that can be made well, and all of this stuff.
Do you know what really stood out to me when you're giving me those examples of the 2 videos you're working on now that you're really excited about? Those titles drive extreme curiosity, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm taking a drink.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. No, they do. There's and this is a lesson I'm always learning. Like, if you pull my videos up, I can show you a good example of this. Do you see that one, Who Lived Here, on the middle row? Crossroads of Human Evolution.
Oh, here. Yeah.
That one was an interesting video. So I had developed this idea that a lot of people, when they're talking about human evolution, they don't really talk about India. Doesn't come up much. There's a lot of conversation about Africa, a lot of conversation about Neanderthals who lived in Europe and Asia, a lot of conversation about island Southeast Asia. But what's going on in India? And it just so happened that India is a huge market for YouTube. So again, your mind thinking, what's a good idea? How do I know when I've got a good idea? It's like, oh, YouTube is a massive market, and I feel like I can bring something new to the table here in an interesting way, authentic way about India. So when the stars align like that, you're onto a good idea. But I hadn't thought through the idea well enough. I had finished the video by the time I came up with the title Crossroads of Human Evolution. And I wish I had had that in mind when I was making the video.
So
it's very important to have the title first, I think. It's very, very, very important to have the title first, because that will really affect how you frame the video. And I didn't think of that title. I didn't fully think of the idea all the way through until it was already basically in production. And then, like, right at the last minute, I was like, oh, of course that was the angle. Of course that was the angle for the video. You live and learn. Okay. You live and learn. But from that video onwards, I knew, like, oh, you got to think of the title first.
Let's dig into that a bit further then. So say you had the title when you were making that video, how would that have made things different?
I'd have called India the crossroads of human evolution in the introduction. That would have been the way I framed it entirely. And I did sort of do that, but not explicitly, not well. And so it just would have changed how I scripted the video, how I put the pieces together. All the pieces are still there. It's still the crossroads of human evolution, but that wasn't the explicit message I was driving throughout the video, because I didn't think of that concept until the end. Do you know what I mean? Like I want someone to come away from that video and think like, oh my God, prehistory in India was incredible. All these different factors at play. It was the crossroads of human evolution. And I think many people would not come away with that, just because that wasn't the point I was hammering home throughout the video, because I didn't fully appreciate what the angle was until it was too late. And I could have probably stopped production, I could have probably reframed and refilmed the entire video. But again, as I was saying earlier, to a certain extent, make the video, learn the lesson, move on to the next one. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of done, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, we'll figure out what you mean by that. I know what you're talking about. Is it perfection is the enemy of completion? Something like that.
Something.
Yeah, we'll Google it later.
Rude. Yours sounded ruder than mine. I think I'm right. Don't let perfect be the enemy of done. I don't know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Release the video, learn the lesson, apply it to the next one. Don't delay video production for forever. I
come across another term that kind of taps into what you were talking about, is analysis paralysis. I come across a lot of people who want to start YouTube or are still at the early stages, but they feel like they need to know everything and learn everything. And, before they can start, they have to be able to, what in their heads, achieve perfection. But you can never be perfect at something before you start it, can you?
Never.
Don't let over-analysis or something just paralyze you from not starting.
Yeah, and if the mistake really fundamentally undermines the video, then by all means, change it. But if it's just something like, oh, I wish I had done that, I wish I had done this, don't worry about it. Release the video and apply that lesson to the next one.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've learned a lot of lessons over the time that you've been running a channel.
I try.
Anything come to mind? Anything stand out?
You've really got to
spot here.
Yeah, you've really got to get to the point. Even if the video, like, I appear in my videos, I'm a character in my videos, but don't for a second waste any time introducing yourself. Just get to the meat of the video. I would say put your best visuals at the start of the video. Don't even worry about like saving something for later. Just get it in. If you've got like in this next video about Polynesia, the video that I'm editing as we speak, that I'll carry on editing after we finish this. The first part of the video is loaded with footage that is great, and it will reappear later, but I'm sort of showing people, like, look what's going to be in this video, man. Like, I got clips of fish nibbling on the turtle's shell. This is some crazy footage. Like, I got some crazy drone shots of Easter Island. I've got animated maps. Stick around. This is going to be an interesting one. So I think, front load the video with some interesting stuff. Just get straight into the point, and create a sense of like interest, curiosity, excitement. But again, this is easily said, difficult to do, and every video is another challenge. And just try your best to do that. Try your best to make the best video you can, with the limits of your time and ability and budget.
Work within the resources you have, but strive to do as best as you can.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't worry about like saving anything for later. If you've got an amazing drone shot of whatever, if you've got a really important piece of footage of whatever, put it in the first 30 seconds, man. Put it in the first 20 seconds. Get people excited to watch the video. Because I think YouTube is watching that retention very closely.
Have the first 30 seconds.
I mean, I don't know where they consider a cutoff, but the longer you can keep someone on the video, the longer... And you don't have to do this in a Mr. Beast way where you just like blast them with really insane energy. But the more you spark their curiosity, the more you keep their interest, the more engaging the video is, the better it'll turn out,
This is kind of out of the blue question, but do you look at your analytics much?
No, I don't. The only analytic I look at is the views.
Okay.
I do. Now that you can really see where people are dipping in and out of the video, I do give that a little bit of a look. To see if there's any moment where people are really dipping out, and then I'll go and see what was happening there.
So I'll just get this up in a second.
But I genuinely...
You talk about the retention graph, are you?
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah. So mine is a lot less zigzaggy than that, I would say. I don't know if that's I'm calling you out there. I don't know. But mine, your videos are a lot more informational than mine, I would say. And that probably affects people dipping in and out. But you just see, like, is there a moment where there's a real noticeable drop, and see what's happening there. One thing that complicates this, or I anticipate will complicate it, is that I've just started doing sponsorships. So I imagine when the sponsorship appears, there's going to be a dip, and then there's going to be a peak again once it's over. So but that's easily identified, obviously. If there's some other part of the video where the views just went like, boop, what was going on there? Check it out. See what was going on there. See if what was happening at that moment in the video, like, upset the viewer's expectations in any way. I don't know.
Try and find reasons why people skipped or left your video.
Yeah, I know I've spoken to you about this at length, but one thing I worry about not appearing on the thumbnails, me personally not appearing on the thumbnails, is that when I do appear on camera, it upsets the viewer's expectation of what is going to happen in this video. Now, you can see the one where I did appear in the thumbnail is the lowest views out of all my recent videos. That I knew is not... That video, I would say, is just for the community, not a definite banger, because it's just me answering a child's archaeology questions. I knew that video would not get big views, and so that's why I made the thumbnail myself, which is why it's rubbish. But that was just a promise, fulfilling a promise to a child back in our hometown. But it's still got 100,000 views. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I wonder, because I don't appear in my thumbnails, if when I do appear on camera, it's upsetting the viewer's expectation. So now when I'm introducing the topic in that first 30 seconds of the video, I make sure to show myself on camera not even talking into the microphone, but just showing myself like researching, showing myself talking to the people I'm interviewing with no audio, but just so the viewer realizes quite quickly that, oh, this is the guy who's going to appear in the video. So that when I do fully appear and I'm talking on camera like this, it's not a shock to them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're building up to you fully being on camera.
Yeah, because I think in older videos, I did a video on Homo erectus, and it's like the views are going good, and it gets to like 2 minutes 20 or whatever, and it just goes, boop, drops. The retention drops. You go to what happened on camera at 2 minutes 20. It was the first appearance of this mug, and and so this year, hopefully moving forward, I'm going to be changing my thumbnail strategy for me to appear in them. So I'm setting that expectation when they click on the video. But even if I'm not appearing in the thumbnail, when I'm doing the introduction, I'm trying to subtly set the expectation that I'm going to appear on camera. Gotcha. Because a lot of educational YouTube, like Wendover Productions or something, the person never appears on camera. There's a lot of anonymous educational YouTube channels. Wendover's not anonymous. People know Sam Wendover, but there's a lot of people that create educational videos who never appear on camera. There's just this voice of God giving people information. And that's not what I do. So I need to set that expectation.
Mm-hmm. Needs to be some alignment between the information people are presented with when they click on your video to what they see once the video starts playing.
I think so. Yeah.
I've heard that from other YouTubers too. I think that's a popular theory for sure.
Yeah. I mean, one guy who does this great, who does a lot of this stuff really well, is Johnny Harris. His thumbnails will always include him, regardless of the topic. So if you scroll down his last video, so he's appearing in the thumbnail regardless of what the topic is. So again, it sets that expectation. This is a video for Johnny Harris. He's going to appear in it. And then this subtle technique I learned from a really great Vox video. I don't know if you care to show it, but there's a really fantastic Vox video.
Sure, let's get it up now.
Just type in Vox and then like markings in the Sahara. I already sent you this video. We've already spoken about it before. Yep. This one. Who made these circles in the Sahara? So, in my opinion, this is the best history video on YouTube, in my opinion.
Wow.
It's absolutely fantastic video. You can see people agree with me, 7 million views. This guy did not appear in the thumbnail. He appears throughout the whole video. He didn't appear in the thumbnail, but in that introduction, you see him typing, you see him talking to guests. Mm-hmm. By the time he's sat down and appears on camera after like a minute or two after the video, you already know that this guy is taking you on a journey to learn about these things. See his face appear there. Mm-hmm. He's framing the introduction in a way that sets that expectation. That's really what I think about it. Maybe I'm overanalyzing this stuff. I don't know but that's how I think about it at the minute.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's something I've never thought about before. Like slowly drip feeding and working your audience up to seeing you if you're not in your thumbnails. Really powerful stuff, especially in the educational space. Us as YouTubers, we're not the focus of the video, are we? We are vehicles for our viewers to learn about the topic that we're talking about. So that's a really interesting and effective way of navigating that sort of balance.
Yeah.
Right, buddy. I am going to have to head off now because this is the time we agreed that the podcast would finished. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. That's going to be so useful to the smaller educational YouTubers out here. I think there's so much to learn from that. The power of a powerful title in creating curiosity, having a wide range, a wide appeal to a wider audience than a more narrow title would have. Just a good idea at the very start of the process seems to be like the first thing you have to get right before you can add all these other things to it, but if you don't have a good idea, it's never going to pay off.
Yeah.
And also thinking about the viewing experience, delivering on expectations, whether it's what people expect when they click your thumbnail to actually what they're seeing in those first opening shots in those first 30 seconds, or whether it's if you deliver the value that is promised in that video, that the viewer wants to come away from that video having learned and being better off and knowing. So really useful lessons there.
I think it's so important that someone's expectation when they're looking at the thumbnail and the title on the screen is matched by the video. And there are probably many ways to do that. There are definitely many people who can make a video better than me. But I think that's important. I think that's very important.
Massively. All right, mate. Appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. We'll put links to your channels around this podcast.
Anytime.
Appreciate you.
Have me back on. I can talk about this all day, man. I love it.
We'll get through a few more guests and then we'll get you back in stuff.
Oh, let's see. Okay, all right.
Bye.
Bye.